When you look at an overall operation of a light over a time, all of this is part of the CO2 footprint. That's why the European Union looked at the situation and said, well, first of all, why do I have to throw every light away and have to put a new one in? So they implemented a right to repair.
Can you share again how long you've been in business?
Yeah, so I started my first business, initially for test equipment of electronic PCB boards when I was 18 years old. So I've been writing software since I've been 12 years old. And launching my first software when I was 16, my first shareware. Started my first business 18 while still in high school. And then...
And in lighting, how long have you been in?
Yeah, and because I was doing PCBs already for lighting since 1994, so 30 years. 30 years in lighting.
30 years in lighting. Can you share what changes you've seen in the industry over the 30 years?
Yeah, so the main shift is that a lot of things go to China and Asia. It's one big shift. Second big shift, from traditional glass-based light sources to LED light sources. It's a big shift.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started, we had overhead projection. Remember those ones where people, like the professors, write on the slides and the light source below?
Oh, yeah.
That was the time when I started. Now we have digital LED projectors, laser projectors. So that shows you just from lamp-based handwriting overhead projection to digital laser projection. It's one trend. When I was in school, we still had TVs which were that thick, and we had like electron beam there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to small monitors with LCDs, and remember in the US you had these rear projection TVs, those big bulky things with a projection system inside.
Yeah.
And now we have 60-inch LED displays which have still a light source inside because they still have backlighting and all things. So huge technological changes. And where are they made? Asia, Korea, Japan, Taiwan.
How about the sustainability push? How is the lighting industry affected by a lot of that's happening?
Oh yeah, I mean, especially the European Union is very strong on that. That they don't want to see too much electronic garbage,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people talk about the CO2 footprint of a product. And a lot of the CO2 is actually happening in manufacturing.
Mm.
So when you look at an overall operation of a light over a time, of course, energy efficiency is important because energy goes in, but that's only part of the story. Manufacturing the product, packaging the product, shipping the product, installing the product, taking the broken product off the ceiling, recycling the product, and disposing. All of this is part of the CO2 footprint. So that's why the European Union looked at the situation and said, well, first of all, why do I have to throw every light away and have to put a new one in? So they implemented a right to repair regulation.
Mm.
So this is one critical impact. So that means you need to design your product so the light source and the driver and certain things can be changed without destroying the whole lamp. Second parameter, energy efficiency. So we have a kind of ERP2 guideline. So meaning depending on the power of the light, you have to offer a minimum efficiency. And since March of last year, March of this year, you have to print an energy label on the product, with the energy classes, and there's a QR code on it. And with this QR code, you can access a EU-wide database where the data of your light source is published and is verified by an EU agency, and the EU responsible person is also visible on that website.
Yeah.
So you cannot just throw the product on the market. You need a so-called energy label that is in it. And that should enable the consumer to make an educated decision on how efficient your product is. And within that test, they do require that you have half-year testing report of at least 10 products 3.5 hours on, half an hour off, and assess that the product is not easy to break.
Wow. It's getting
Whether
intense.
that is true or not is another story all the time, but at least you need to have this data and it has to be accessible. So the European Union has done an amazing effort over the past year to put in legislation to encourage more sustainable products. But how much of the data is real and how much is not real, that's another story. So to go in, but at least you are required, and at least the person who's bringing the product into the European market has to publish this data and has to file it and has to make it accessible and is also legally responsible for it.
Now, China's notoriously terrible about environmental issues. Are they aware of this whole process?
Yes, they are. They are.
And they are complying well?
Well, not necessarily, but at
Depends.
least they usually, if you are a lighting supplier in China and you want to be in a market and you want to sell to Europe, you have to support your customer with these things.
Right, right.
But I have to say there are some players that cut some corners.
We won't name any names on camera.
No, I won't name names, but
Yeah.
Photoshop is good help to get some certificates made.
Wow.
So you better want to verify that the number they give you on the code is actually legitimate,
Yeah.
or it is maybe tweaked.
Right.
You better want to pay attention.
Okay.
I don't say that all of them are legitimate. There are legitimate players as well. I don't want to say this overall. Not all. There are good ones, but there are also the other ones.
But the ones who get burned in the end are the importers in Europe.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so they need to be very careful about this. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to send a compensation bill reimbursement to China?
I won't try. Get lost in the mail, I guess,
It's
intentionally.
very hard to enforce.
Right.
Over my 30 years experience, getting refund from China, haven't seen that.
Yeah.
They may offer you more products to compensate for some things,
Mm-hmm.
but getting a refund out of China is not heard of.
So here's a final question that I want to end the segment with. What is Celinius's long-term vision for solving these complex problems, specifically when it comes to sourcing special lighting and all the complexities with that?
Since we put a lot of brain and effort in it, we are interested in becoming staying long-term suppliers for specific applications, and designing it in a way to enable the customer to offer at least a compatible light source for an extended period of time. Because we believe that with every change of a product, there's also cost associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe our product is a little more expensive in the beginning, because of course we have to pay for the effort, but over long term, we offer a cost advantage to our customer and a peace of mind. They can rely on us.
Yeah, that's
Because a lot of customers, when they're engaging in the West, they have contracts to sign with the end customers. And besides the minimum liability of 2 years that they have to offer to their consumer, when you are in a commercial field, you have other terms to serve. I'll give you an example. When you buy a car, you want to make sure you have 15 years spare parts you can buy.
Mm.
And you don't want to say like, oh, my brake is broken. And you go to the repair shop and they say like, sir, we have a problem. I cannot sell you one brake. But if you buy 100 braking systems, I have a 6 months lead time. How about that? That doesn't sound like a good solution, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a car manufacturer, you need to make sure that besides you're selling a car, you also have to offer the entire infrastructure of providing spare parts and having them readily available and being able to support your repair maintenance shop. That's a huge business mission.
Right.
And in the professional field, if you're an equipment manufacturer, at least you need to offer that service to your customers.
Yeah.
So you better think about that before. And I have to say that I found many providers of lights, or especially smaller providers that are in the consumer space, they don't have this long-term vision in mind.
Mm.
And yeah, but those people who care, they may come to us and we'll have a look on their actual business case. Because in every industry, it's a bit different requirement.
Okay, great. Tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Well, you find the contacts below. You can Google for Celinius. Our website is www.celinius.com. Contact us and we'll set up a meeting to understand your needs, and then we go from there. I also want to say it, we are not doing everything. We have to also see what fits and what doesn't fit.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Florian.